Hello, I thought today I would open up these rock art boxes and see what's inside and make some art with them. Alright, let's start with the mandala one. Contains everything you need. It says 900 grams of rocks, 3 coloured dimensional paints, which I'm probably going to want more, but we'll see. A paintbrush, 3 coloured paint pots, easy to follow instructions. I'll be the judge of that, thank you. Okay. So far, there's a lot of filler in here, just looking at that. Alright. Oh. Just chuck that away. Let's see if we can get the bag open. Well, there we go. I think these are the dimensional paints, so I imagine that they are 3D, they stand up. I do have some other ones which I might actually add into this, but we'll just do what they've got for starters and then we'll see. And 3 regular acrylic paints which look exactly like the Paint by Numbers paints. Rustle, rustle. More annoying plastic to throw away. The instructions. And help if I put them up the right way. And the paintbrush. This looks identical to that one I got in the Paint by Numbers set, just so you know. Alright, I shall read this off camera. Look. Okay, includes everything you need, but you still need to have a cup, a scrap paper, and a water. I don't know why they couldn't put a cup and scrap paper in. I mean, it's not that hard to put a plastic cup in. You're putting all this other plastic in there, does it matter? If there's more? Okay, chuck that over there. Have I got a scissor or something to open this with? Look, I found them. You should see the state of my studio at the moment. Maybe not, actually. But I've been doing a lot of filming and I have not been doing much tidying and I've got junk everywhere. I really need to take a few days probably just to sort my studio properly, but I just can't be bothered. Do you get like that when you just look at a mess and you just think, nope, not today? That would be the rocks. The rocks in the box. They are heavy. Chuck away. Okay, this bag is very dusty. I don't know that I really want to pull all of them out, but it's just like a random bag of rocks, literally, like someone's just scooped up a bunch of rocks out of the garden and shoved them in. So I don't even know what you're supposed to do with the tiny little ones. What I might do is a big one and a little one. This looks like a good size, so I'll do this one and this one for this demonstration, and I'll keep these separate. Alright, so I'll have a read of the instructions and I will be back once I know exactly what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, now I can already see another flaw. It says here, paint the rock a solid colour. Multiple coats are suggested to get an even colour. Black is a great base colour to start with. Let this dry before continuing. Well, if they're expecting you to cover all these rocks with this tiny little pot of paint, that's a bit lame, but that's what they say, so that is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think what I might do is actually lay a piece of paper down. Alright, I don't know exactly how you're supposed to paint a base layer with this tiny brush. I am going to get a bigger brush because we'll be here all day. Alright, I've got another brush. I'm going to use this to lay the black on. Well, I guess if I'm painting it all, I probably won't need the black for anything else, so I'll paint it on. Oh, that's a bit goopy. Teeny tiny rock. The one thing with this kit, I will say, is it does take a bit of preparation before you actually get to the painting itself. Yeah, and I don't know how to do this without getting it all over the table. There is no way to do this without making an absolute mess. It probably make more sense to paint the underside of the rock first. I think what I'll do is I'll do all of the base painting today, and then I'll have to come back and do this in multiple sessions. So I'll put that up the top to dry, and ooh yes, Oh well, quickly paint it over with black. It says to paint black, so black it is. You could paint it white as well, I suppose. But I'm following the instructions for the moment because I'm really curious to see what you can actually achieve with just the kit and a cheaty extra brush, because there's no way I'm spending hours doing that. No way. It's nice enough paint. It seems to be of the same consistency of the paint by numbers, so it's a reasonable acrylic paint. It shouldn't take too long to dry, hopefully. Alright, I'll just set that aside to dry. I'll probably come back in a few hours and flip it over and look at that, and paint the bottoms of the rocks and let them sit overnight, and once I come back tomorrow everything will be dry. And while I'm at it, I'm going to open this one, because I'm sure this is going to be exactly the same situation where I'm going to have to paint a base coat. So they don't make these things easy to open, do they? I'll use it like a knife. There we go. That's it. Got it. I'm expecting a similar situation in here with a box of rocks and a bag of stuff. Okay? Looks like it's going to be exactly the same. Oh look, we've got a stick in this one. Look. They are identical brushes. Now I've got a pair. And a bamboo stick for... See, I would have thought this would have been in the mandala one if you're going to dot things on, so I may end up using it for the mandala one, but whatever. More paints. Another black, so I'll probably just use the one black to paint everything rather than opening a new one. And a whole bunch more rocks in there. So I may as well just use the bag that I've got open, and I'll leave these for now. It really just doesn't seem to make sense to actually open all of those rocks. That's not bad, I might use that one. I've got an idea for this little one. Okay, I'll paint that one. I've always got more rocks there if I need to paint a few extra ones, but I'll start with a few and we'll go from there. I'll just quickly read the instructions to see if it wants the same thing, and I'll be back. This is Watercolor Ground. This is by Core, and I've not used this yet. I've had it for ages and I've just been trying to think what to do, so I thought I would paint one of the rocks with it and see if I can do a watercolor painting on a rock. So I am not really sure how to use this, but I think you just paint it on and it's got to sit overnight again. So I may as well get that painted too, and I'll put that with my other rocks. I think when it goes dry it will give the texture of watercolor paper. That's what I'm really hoping. Okay, I've read the other instructions, and for the marbled ones you meant to pour the paint into a shallow dish and then dip the rock in and get the marbled effect, and this is a stick that you have to do that into the paint with. So I think what I really want to do, because it's going to be impossible to drop that rock in and then just, you know, I'm not going to be able to do both sides without making a mess around my fingers, I think I'll paint them all black and then I can just have the marbling on one side. So that is what I'm going to do. I will do all of the pretty decorating painting tomorrow. I'll do all the black layer of paint today. I'm going to paint a couple of big ones, I think, so I've got more rather than less, because I was thinking also that the likelihood of me stuffing something up is fairly high. So if I've got a few extra rocks I can experiment with, it's probably better than not having enough, because otherwise this is going to take days and days of me painting rocks and waiting for them to dry. Alright, so I think the first one I'm going to do is a marbled rock, because that's probably going to take the longest to dry. It said to get the paint out with a spoon. This kit did not come with a spoon, so I'm going to use a bamboo skewer to do this. I don't know about this. This isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. There's pretty limited stuff. I think the marbling one would work better if you've got a much bigger bottle of paint, but of course this is a kit where they're supposed to provide everything, so I'm going to do my best to make one with just the supplies that they've given, and this, and then we'll see if it turns out at all. And we'll know then if the kit is even worth getting. Now what I think I might do is actually put some white in between the colours. So rather than having them all side by side, I might marble some white through. That white is much runnier than the other colours. Okay, I'm giving up on the gold. The gold just doesn't work. Oh my god. Alright, now it says that you're supposed to swirl the mixture with this stick that they did provide, so I'll use that. As you can see, I've gotten paint everywhere. This is not a very clean activity to do. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. It looks a bit like a paint pour, but I think it would be more successful if you actually did a paint pour over the rocks rather than putting the rocks into it. I might just leave it like that rather than making an absolute mess of it. And which rock? This looks like a likely looking size, so I might put it in this way. And it just says to roll it in the paint, so this is what I'm doing. And I can already see that it is not going to look like the picture. It's not bad, it looks okay, but yeah, I might see if I can just add a little bit around the edges, just pick it up, and I'll just kind of smush it in and see if I can get as much on it as possible. Okay, I can already see that this one's going to bother me because you get quite a lot of paint left in the bottom of the box, and it just feels like a waste. It's a bit like paint pouring. I always feel like I'm wasting too much paint, and I hate wasting stuff, I really do, but it's fun. But really, for the amount of paint that is provided, it's not really an activity that's going to last very long, I don't think. But I don't mind how it came out. Although now we can see that yellow, and I suspected would be the case, is a lot more transparent than the red and the blue. Oh, I am covered in paint. I'm just going to pick it up and stick it on. Finger painting. There we go. You could actually probably do finger painting with this kit a lot more successfully than rolling the rock into it. Oh wow. I'm glad I painted the rocks black underneath, because then the paint just kind of sits over the top of it. Although as you can see, I've managed to get my thumb in it and smeared it a bit, so I am having a great time here. I don't know how the little ones would go with this, but the big ones certainly aren't doing it very well either, so okay. I'm going to leave well enough alone, I think. I've gotten the whole top of the rock done. Once again, the issue is getting the rock from your hand onto the surface without smudging it all, but it's down. Okay, I'm leaving that one to dry. I've got these little rocks. I'll use a little rock, shall I? I might use this really flat rock, which is the flattest side. There we go. I'll do it this way, I think. It's fun. It does make a nice texture, but really this one's a bit difficult overall. I'm hoping the other one, I think I prefer painting the rocks with a brush, so I'm going to try the other kit now and we'll see what we can come up with. And once again, I'm just using my fingers. Marbled fingers. And there we have it. Can I add... See, I'm trying really hard to not make mud on top of this. I might just see if I can flex some of that yellow into it there. Now that's pretty cool. I quite like that. I'll put that aside for drying. And I'll just tidy up here and I'll start again. I've just grabbed a scrap of paper to pick up the rest of the paint in there because I just cannot waste it. I can't bring myself to do it. And especially with most of the shops shut, it's not like you can just wander down to your local art shop and buy more paint. So I may as well pick it up, stick it on a piece of paper, which I have cut very, very straight. And I'll see if I can get a couple of little prints out of it. Yeah, not bad. I'll probably use these in an art journal or something like that. I'm thinking about starting one, so I will put those aside. Alright, let's try mandala. Now it says to start off with one of these puffy paints and find the center of the rock by measuring. There, looks good. It's a very scientific process, that. So it says to do a big dot in the middle and then smaller dots around it. And let's see how this goes. That's pretty nice. It's quite, that is thick paint. I don't know that that's a very circular dot. Alright, I don't know if you could see this, but it makes little cones. I cannot get it to go like a circle. So we're going to have little cones. I'm really hoping that that will settle down. They're standing up in conical formation. Or whatever. Let's get some white. They have all different designs, so I'm just going to make it up, I think, is what I'm good at doing. And some blue. Okay, what I think I would have liked to have seen in this kit is, rather than maybe having these, doing more of these colours, like more of these bottles, so that you've got all different colours in the 3D paints. So that would be something that the kit would benefit from including, I think, rather than just or even just a red as well, so at least you've got primary colours. But I'm going to try some of these little paints here. Well, they're quite thick too. We'll see what I can get from it. Yeah, see, the thing with this is that you can't get the 3D effect as well, because the paint is just not designed for that. Otherwise, it's quite a nice little activity. This one's quite relaxing and far less messy than the marble kit, which gets everywhere. Although if you like making a mess, then probably that one would be more fun than this one. This one requires a little more precision. But seriously, it doesn't need to be perfect. What I might do is go down with, make some spokes out with the red. Turn it for a second so I can make sure I'm covering the whole rock. And then I'll just join these ones. So that kind of goes through there. And that one goes up through there. Okay, there's my lovely base design. Now I'm just going to fill all of these in. I kind of want to use the pink as well, so maybe I will add some pink in. I might go around with pink dots and then I'll add the 3D dots again. Okay, that's this one finished. Now this little stick should come in handy for sliding it across the paper when I can put that in with the other ones to dry. Just put that up there. And because I am incapable of doing anything without having to add more stuff, I have pulled out these liquid pearls that I've had in one of my storage boxes for a while. I've been wanting to use them on something, so I figured these would work much like these little puffy paints. So I'm going to do another rock with some of these liquid pearls, and they're all pearlescent and sparkly and shiny, so that could be pretty awesome. I'm going to do this big rock. Oh boy, that's certainly tough on the hands. These are probably not the greatest thing if you have hand issues, but I persevered and I have now a very, very blingy looking rock. So I'll slide, oh dear, this one's going to be hard to slide because it's wobbly. I'll try and slide that over there for drying. And the last one I'm going to do today, because I did paint this one in Watercolor Ground, and you can see a lovely fingerprint there when I was testing to see if it's dry. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But now it's fully dry. I thought I would try some watercolor paints on just to see what happens. So I might just do something basic like a galaxy. I'll grab some paints and I'll make a little picture on here. Well, these are nice and dry now. This one looks like a sea urchin. It's spiny. I do like how this one came out. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do, I've got a bit of that old gloss varnish. So here we are. Here are my finished rocks. I had a lot of fun doing this. Surprisingly more than I thought I was going to. I thought, yeah, you know, it's going to be pretty average. But it was quite a few hours of entertainment. Once you factor in you have to paint the rocks and then let them dry and then add your decorations and then cover them with gloss. But this was really great, and I think it's something that anyone can do of all ages. It really just depends on what kind of materials you have. Obviously I did use all of the ones out of the box, but I found that was a bit limiting, and I think you could probably just find some rocks out of your own garden, or if you go out walking and you happen to find some nice smooth rocks, you could use those. You could use shells, perhaps. Anything you have really laying around in the backyard or out on your walks. But I had a good time. I think this one turned out really well. As you can see underneath, I haven't yet painted them with gloss because these are still just a little bit sticky, but I'm very tired. I've been filming all day and I just want to finish up today and have all my footage ready so I can edit everything. This one is definitely a sea urchin, but I really love the texture of it actually. It came out really well. So this is using all of the paints that were in the set, and it's not bad. You get a pretty cool design out of it. So for $8, I think, $8 something I paid, it's worth it. I don't know that I would say it's worth $16, which was its recommended retail price, but when it was on half price, it was fun. And I enjoyed the marble kit too, although this one was really messy and is quite wasteful of the small amount of paint you get. I think I might just paint that and cover that bit up later. But the effect was really cool. I really like it. It's like a paint pour. And if you don't know what paint pouring is, look it up. It's pretty awesome. This one, which I used my extra supplies, is one of my favourites. I think this one turned out really well. These would make pretty cool gifts for people. When we can't go out to the shops to buy presents, you can make some out of rocks and black paint and shiny paint, so there's always that option. My watercolour experiment was a bit of a failure. All of the stars have come off, and that's because I realised as I was doing it that the acrylic gloss basically lifted up all of the watercolour paint, so a bit of a disaster, but I think they look really pretty. Let me know in the comments which was your preferred kit. Do you think that you would prefer the mandala one or the marbled rock art? And also, do you have ideas of what you could paint on rocks? Because I think that there is a potential to do heaps of different stuff with these. It's just such a simple concept, but it worked out really well, and you end up with some pretty cute ornaments. You could use it as a paperweight. You could even put them in the garden. Once they've been covered with acrylic, they're pretty much waterproof. So you could definitely pop those in the garden. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're staying well wherever you are in the world. Take care. I will see you again soon. Swatch you later.